Hey everyone, my name is Joe Rosen. I'm doing my project on the 9/11 terrorist attacks, the attack of the World Trade Center back in September 11th, 2001. So here's my project. How I learned about the attack. Obviously, if attack happens before your time, you hear about it a vast majority of ways. The first time I heard it was from my parents when I was little. Whenever 9/11 came around, I always asked them what it was about. And they said how devastated they were when it happened, and they kind of watched everything unfold while watching the news. In high school, in a national history class, obviously we learned about that, and then also multiple documentaries about this attack. Why I chose this event? This terrorist attack, it changed world policies worldwide. They increased aviation laws, Transportation Security Administration, the TSA. We all know that. That did not exist before this attack, and then the Department of Homeland Security also was not a thing before this. A little summary of the attack. On September 11th, 19 members of Al Qaeda hijacked 4 commercial airlines. 2 of these planes crashed into the twin towers of the World Trade Center, leading both of the buildings to collapse. The other plane hit the Pentagon, and the 4th plane crashed in Pennsylvania after passengers fought back. That plane was originally headed for the White House, so they're seen as heroes for doing that. Nearly 3,000 people were totally dead. Here's some pictures of the World Trade Center. This is right after the second plane hit the tower. As you can see, it's a big fiery mess and not a good look. Here's another image of the Pentagon, kind of the wreckings of all of it. A little bit of a background on the attack. The Al Qaeda justified these attacks through a mix of political anger and literal interpretation of the religion Islam. Osama bin Laden was the leader of the group, described these attacks as a holy fight against the West. Al Qaeda, though, thought using a large scale of violence would help achieve their ideological goals. This is a picture of Osama bin Laden here on the bottom, and then up top that's a picture of Al Qaeda members. Connections to the class, part 1. Religious literalism, as I mentioned before. Al Qaeda relied on extremely rigid, decontextualized readings of the Islamic scripture, the Quran, ignoring mainstream interpretations and treating their own violent version as the unquestionable truth. Whatever they thought the Quran meant, whether it meant that or not, they had no questions whether what they were doing was against the Quran or not. Individuals would undoubtedly die for their beloved Messiah. Connections in the class, part 2, catastrophic messianism. In this belief, followers do not wait for a literal God. Instead, they think that the widespread destruction will lead to a big conflict that can change the world. They view catastrophic violence as a way to start a future where their own beliefs will prevail. This idea is similar to other groups that think dramatic violence is necessary for divine change in their faith. Relation to other religion violence. The 9/11 attacks, like other violence, involved a belief that a God supports the actions. Al Qaeda viewed the world as divided into believers and enemies. They used violence for purification and combined political anger with their religious messages. Unlike other attacks, Al Qaeda operated globally, targeting symbols and financial and military centers. They executed their plans in a highly organized and advanced fashion, setting them apart from other smaller terrorist groups. And finally, the outlook on the future. Since Al Qaeda has become weaker, the U.S. soldiers had killed Osama bin Laden in a house raid shortly after the attack. While he is gone, the ideas and motivations behind these groups are still exist to this day. Our country has made progress in improving security and changing immigration policies to reduce terrorist attacks. However, despite our efforts, no policy or military action can completely stop these violent ideas. So, hope you guys enjoyed. That's it. Thank you.